Welcome back to another episode of the Casey Campbell Podcast. Casey Campbell with you, of course. Pleased to be joined by Jon Garrett. Of course, we'll be running for Veer Motorsports in the 2023 ARCA Menard Series season. All 20 races as we get ready to go to Daytona just next week. How's it going, Jon?
Hey, going great.
So talk about how exciting it is to be with this Veer Motorsports team and put a full season together.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. I would say 18 months ago, I'd given up on this dream. It's one of those things you don't have the money, don't know the right people, and then it's kind of a long story, but things kind of just came together. I helped Bailey Curry out some, and that way now he runs Xfinity. He was with Rick Ware then, and a guy that helped bring him up, Michael Harper, who also helped Chris Buescher and some other people come up. He runs a monster truck show, and I print T-shirts for him. He's like, "Hey, dude, you should go do this Daytona test." I'm like, "What? You're crazy." Um, he said, "Yeah, you've got a good enough racing resume. They'd approve you, and you can go do it." So 2022, I went and did the Daytona test with Andy Hillenberg and got the bug, I guess you'd say. And we ran Talladega, Pocono, and Kansas with finishes of 21st, 14th, and we got a top 10 in Kansas. And during that time frame, a guy I used to race with, Lane Moore from Oklahoma, saw my post on Facebook. It's like, "Hey, I'd like to get him involved. I've always wanted to own a team." So he said, "Let's, go buy a car and get this thing going." So we purchased a Jeff Spraker car, and that's what we ran at Pocono and Kansas. And then over the winter, we bought a couple of Brett Holmes cars, which of course is good equipment. So we are set to go for the full season this year with 3 cars, 3 Elmores, um, parts, pieces, crew. Just we're ready to go, and we'll be running in conjunction with Andy Hillenberg's Fast Track Racing. They'll prep the cars and take them to the track for us, crew chief, pit crew, all that good stuff.
Yeah. So what's it like to work with Andy Hillenberg and all that?
Oh, it's great. Growing up, I knew that name. I watched a lot of racing, which he's not that much older than me, but I followed his career, how he got to run Indy. He, of course, was the ARCA champion. So to be able to work with him, someone that experienced, I know it's going to be great for me. The first time he spotted for me was in Kansas, and that really worked out well. I felt super comfortable with everything he was telling me to do. And when I was making mistakes, he's like, "Hey, run this line. It was better for you." And it paid off at the end. On a green white checker, we were actually fighting for position with 9th, 10th, and 11th, and I didn't get to get 9th. Car spun their tires in front of me, but I held off 11th place and finished 10th. So yeah, to sum it up, working with Andy is great. He's super enthusiastic about this upcoming year because we've brought some good equipment, and he'll have a driver in a car for the full season. He won't have to worry about switching out drivers, and that's something he hadn't been able to do in a while. So yeah, he's super excited, and it's great working with him.
Yeah. What track are you most looking forward to?
Daytona, of course. I didn't race there last year, but I ran the test. That's everybody's highlight, I would guess. But going back to the tracks that I raced last year is going to be good because I had a steep learning curve, and I've certainly still got one with, I've never been to most of these tracks. At Pocono, I look forward to going there with a better piece of equipment. And Kansas, of course, where I had my best race, I was starting to feel pretty comfortable there. So I'm looking forward to that too. And I believe we get a test day there in the spring. So that's going to be awesome to get some time in.
Yeah, I think Kansas, you also get a test date as well. So
yeah.
So what's it like going back to those test days? What's that going to be like for you guys?
It's great to kind of be there and not be under pressure of the official practice. You can go out and do your thing. I went to the Pocono test last year, a day before the race. That was great. I got to learn a lot of stuff. We worked out some things in the car and on my line, and it just gives you a chance to, get acclimated to everything without the pressure of being on this set time frame to get things done.
Yeah. So going into this year, running with the Veer Motorsports team, kind of talk about some of the guys that are going to help you out this year.
Well, Andy, of course, who heads the whole thing up, and our crew chief is going to be Mike from Fast Track Racing. He's been there for a few years. Unfortunately, I do not know his last name, and he's going to kill me for that. But we worked together some last year. He was actually my crew chief at Kansas and did a great job. And we look for some outside help, quote, crew chiefs, but we decided to go with him and think he's going to be a great fit and it's going to work out great. And then the Uno staff or pit crew, I'm going to get their best guys there on my car since I'm full time. And we had a few issues at Pocono last year with them, but Kansas was great. So I'm looking forward to that also.
Yeah. So, talking about some of these new tracks that you're going to be going to. So you're going to be going short track racing, dirt racing, road course racing. What are you most excited about?
Yeah, everything.
Yeah.
All of them. I don't know how much you know about my background, but I started on street stock dirt.
Okay.
Which those were 3,600-pound cars with, I don't know, 400 horsepower. So I'm used to throwing a big heavy stock car around a dirt track. So I think I'll do all right there. Those are big mile tracks, but still big heavy car with some good horsepower. That I think I'll do okay there. Road course, I've run 2 road course races in my life, and that was in a spec truck, American Truck Series. We ran at Texas Motor Speedway on the inside road course. The second race, I actually pulled off a win there. Those were automatic transmissions, though. You did manually shift them, but not the same as shifting these cars. So that'll be a little difference there. But yeah, I've got so much to learn and take in at all these tracks, but I've made a lot of friends on the circuit. My crew chief from Talladega, Tony Constantino, I believe that's how you say his last name. He's running the full season, so he'll be out there with me. I think he's in the 45.
Yep.
I've met a lot of friends and crew chiefs and drivers through all the series through last 2 or 3 years, sponsoring Rick Ware Racing and doing little things with different teams. So I'll be relying heavily on them. Bailey Curry, I'll be blowing his phone up. I still sponsor him a little bit. So he'll probably get tired of hearing from me, but yeah, he's glad to offer advice. And I think I'll have plenty of input. It's, and I'm going to have good equipment. So it's going to be up to me to kind of get the job done there.
Yeah. And lastly, of course, going to Daytona, you never know what could happen. There's a lot of people coming out of that test that are saying, we've got a really good car. What do you feel like you have to do to get a good result at Daytona?
Yeah, and we skipped the test. We wanted to save our funds for the season. With Andy taking 6 cars down there, we felt we got some good data from all that stuff. But, we're going to have a good practice, make sure the car is good. But mainly, how our race is going to go is going to be dictated by the draw of qualifying, because it's group qualifying. You get a draw. I mean, I could get in there with 3 Venturini cars, or I could get in there with 3 not Venturini cars. So, I'm sure as soon as that draw happens, there's going to be little meetings everywhere with, the 3-4 drivers, however many are in each pack, figuring out who's going to do what and what kind of line we're going to get in. So I would say if we, have a decent qualifying run, we're going to try to stay up front. And then if we don't, we may play around in the back a while, stay on the lead lap to the halfway break. It's good knowing that you've got a break at halfway. So if you can, having problems, try to stay on the lead lap, get there, and then you can race the last half of the race. But, we're just going to try to stay out of trouble, not make any enemies, and be there at the end to see what happens.
All right. Well, Jon Garrett, thank you so much for coming on and talking with us, and best of luck at Daytona. And we'll talk with you throughout the year.
All right. I appreciate you having me on.